This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride, where we make mediocre matter, one good setup at a time. I'm James Beastie, and this, my friends, is the Mind Expander. And that's what we're reviewing today. Next to it is the 2019 Mind Expander. This is the 2021. Next to that is the 2021 Ultra Mind Expander. I've ridden this with a wide variety of boots and bindings, more than I care to mention. I've ridden this in all kinds of conditions and in two sizes, the 54 and the 58. And to tell you what this board is about, it's a powder board first. It's okay on groomers. It's not bad for turning around and playing around, but it's not a groomer carver like the Ultra Mind Expander. But what it really shines in is deep powder, and lots of boards have this shape, but we haven't come across a board with this kind of surf rocker, they call it. It's basically just a really massive rocker in the nose, and it allows you to ride more centered, and you can even flirt around with riding front foot forward in deep, deep powder. I haven't found a powder day yet that this couldn't handle, and all our crew loves it. We love it. It's a favorite. It's been a favorite for years. It's one of the first boards I grab when it's ultra super deep. For 2021, there are two minor changes. One, there is an extra set of inserts in between the feet to give you a narrower stance that's more carve friendly. That's better for the Ultra Mind Expander, but it's nice to have a narrower stance for the Mind Expander. Secondly, they changed out the base from the centered 9900 base like I have on my 2019 and the 2020 and 2018, and also like the Ultra Mind Expander, to a centered 8000 base. Apparently it's a little more durable, but still very fast. And I can say this, Jones's bases are always super fast, so not really worried about the downgrade there. It's still gonna have great glide. So sizing wise, Jones says to size down from your regular board. I'm assuming they're talking about a free ride board. So I ride, let's say, the 161 Jones flagship, kind of a pretty standard traditional free ride board in Jones's line. And I can ride the 64 or the 61. So I kind of choose between the 58 and the 54. The 54 works great for me in groomers, and that would be the board I would choose if I was going to ride this in groomers and powder. And the 58 kills it for me in powder. It's not fun in groomers. It feels too big. It feels awkward. Peter loves them both in 58s, the Ultra Mind Expander and the Mind Expander. I love the Mind Expander 54 in groomers and the 58 in powder. That's why I own 58s. And the Ultra Mind Expander, I actually like the 54 on groomers and in powder as my one board. The 58 just felt like too much for me. They also have a 166 this year, so that's kind of cool for you bigger footed riders and bigger guys. It can actually probably fit an 11 to 12 pretty well. The 62 is kind of on that borderline, 11 will fit really well without having any toe drag, that kind of stuff. The shape with this is tapered directional, and it has about 20 millimeters of taper, and you can feel it. You can see though, from the specs, if you look at Jones's site, it's centered on side cut, but there is so much setback on board that it does ride a little further back, and with all that taper, you need a little more back foot weight on groomers to make it work. In powder, that changes up. You don't need any back foot weight if you don't want to. One thing I would say though, if you bring that back foot forward into a positive stance in the rear, it does keep the board from washing a little more than it does if you were to ride zero or slightly duck. The camber profile is really interesting because it's just flat between the feet, kind of in between the bindings. Then it goes to a little bit of rocker, mediocre rocker in the tail. But on the nose, there is a massive amount of rocker, just really curving up. After that rocker, it spoons. So there is some spoon tech in the nose, but it doesn't come down into the flat section which you use for stability. The flat section is small, so it doesn't feel super stable like other Jones hybrid camber boards, but it is better than continuous rocker and most hybrid rocker boards out there. So it does track well, but not totally stable like hybrid camber, and it 1 foots pretty well off the chair, but it can auto spin on you occasionally depending on the conditions. This got kind of a medium flex right up here, going to medium stiff halfway down the tail. You get here and it just doesn't even give. It's just stiff between the feet. And then in the tail, it's kind of medium stiff, a little softer than in between the feet. Now this is an unfair comparison because this board has been ridden a lot. This is 2019, but you can see it's the same kind of thing here. It softens up. You can see this is what it will soften up to. Just for comparison's sake, you can see the same thing here with the Ultramind expander. As far as pop goes, the Ultramind expander is the winner there. But for a flat to rocker board, these do really well. They pop pretty good and they don't feel dead. When it comes to buttering, I can actually butter all of these pretty well. And you wouldn't think that looking at the flex here, but that rocker in the nose really makes it fun for tripods. And the rocker in the tail is just fine for leaning back or wheeling up in a powder day. So when it comes to speed, this doesn't really handle speed that well because of all that rocker in the nose. There's lots of clown shoe effect going on, lots of vibration in the nose, but it's not bad for what it is in groomers. And in powder, this thing just can point it. And even though the bass is not quite as fast as the older model, it's still going to be really fast and still at the upper tier of bass glide. And all Jones boards just glide so well. And it's going to get you out of those treacherous flats that you often see when you're coming off of a good run and you're off-piste and you have a long traverse back to the chair or to your car. This is going to get you further than most boards out there, even with the 8000 bass versus the 9900. And this has saved me countless times where I've seen other people walking in waist-deep snow and I just go right past them and make it out. And it's not because I'm a better rider, it's because this is a better bass. When it comes to uneven terrain, the Jones Mind Expander does an amazing job because it doesn't fatigue you. Yes, it chatters and it can bounce and buck you around a little bit on those messy days. It doesn't ever get cranky. It's always that same predictable chatter. And for some reason, I like that better than riding in hard, micro-bumpy snow with the Ultramind Expander. This is better for all-day resort riding. When it comes to edge hold, there's a little less edge hold with the Mind Expander and Ultramind Expander than the rest of the Jones boards. The disruption in the side cut is a little more pronounced, but it still holds a pretty good edge. And it's great to have this for a powder board because you do get wind-blown icy patches that you have to get through to get to the good stuff. And this helps you survive that so you can go have fun. When it comes to turn initiation, even the 158 is excessively fast edge to edge. If you just want to roll in powder and turn between tight tree lines, I'm never worried on the 58. The 54 is a little faster, but they're both excessively fast. They're tree cheetahs. And that spoon tech really helps you roll better in the snow. It's just a more smooth, easy turn. And I love that it's up in the nose. And as you get down to the flat section, it's flat, so you're still turning like you normally would on a flat to rocker board. It's such a cool feel in powder. Carving's kind of a loss. It can do it, and I'm surprised at how well it does for a flat to rocker board. So it's a good carver for what it is, but getting on the Ultramind Expander, whole different world there. Such a better board for that. So let's talk about what I feel this board is best at, and that's powder. So does all my crew. We just love this ride. It can handle the deepest of deep powder. I've never felt like I've been challenged to stay afloat no matter how deep, and I've gotten about chest deep, and that's pretty deep. So it still was just jamming through it. That nose was staying up. And what I love are these bases. They're so fast that it just picks up speed so well and just kind of accelerates up into a plane, and the tail's sinking, but that nose just never does. And it just accelerates through everything. This is an amazing board for trees, but just going through an open face, it's great. And that's why I ride the 58. I like being on a little bigger board because it just jams through that deep stuff. And we've had some deep days here at Bachelor on this, and it's a great low angle pow board because it keeps its speed so well. They added an extra pair of inserts here and here. I thought that would make this better for setting back on the front foot. I thought you could set this further back on the front foot, keep it in about the same place on the back foot, and get a little more setback on board. Turns out it's the same setback on board as the 2019 and 2020 model. So overall, get this if you want a deep powder board, or get this for a dedicated powder board that you can ride on groomers when the powder's over, or if you're waiting for a lift to open with powder and the rest of the mountain doesn't have powder, this is still fun to ride around on. So there you have it. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the Me Harmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.